Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and no, we're not quite back in our studio inside of Renaissance Bank on Windward Parkway in Alpharetta, but we love those folks. They have done a great work out there for a lot of the PPP borrowers that didn't have to be clients for them to work with them. And I know this firsthand, folks. We don't talk about folks that support the show unless we do business with them, by the way. Here's what you need to do. If you're tired of a relationship with your bank that involves 800 numbers and automated voices and all that kind of stuff, go to renaissancebank.com, find the local office near you, some 200 across the South, ready to serve you, and give them a call. Give that local office a call, and what you'll find is a live person will pick up the phone, or a voicemail for a live person. You'll get one of the two of them. They can't always answer the phone, but give them a call, and you'll actually get a live person that calls you back, that's at that branch, and you can go in and see them, talk about the things that you need, and see if it's a good fit. And I think you'll find most often that it generally is. So check them out. And again, I don't talk about banks like this or anybody else that's on this show unless I've done business with them. And so that's true for Renaissance Bank. It's true for Office Angels. I'll talk about later on. So Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. Speaking of bankers, Phillip Williams is with us, P&P Business Solutions, a reformed banker, right, Phillip?
Yes, exactly right. Good morning, John. Great to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Great to have you back. So I gave you a little bit of introduction, but maybe you need to rewind what I did and give yourself a better introduction than I did.
That sounded pretty good. I spent 30 years in commercial banking, most of it right here in Metro Atlanta, Georgia. And 5 years ago, I can't believe it's been 5 years, jumped out of the frying pan into the fire to become a business owner, just like you and so many of your listeners. And I tell you what, it's been a great experience, and I have loved every minute for the past 5 years of basically jumping to the side of the business owner and helping them be more successful at whatever they do. P&P stands for passion and prosperity. Most people jump out to be a business owner because they're passionate about a good or a service, but many times they're not as prosperous as they'd like to be. So what I try to do is help them understand their financials better by utilizing my long-time banking career and educating them to improve their books so that they can have better access to capital and grow their business. Or if they're trying to sell their business, if they're at that age, then I help them get ready to sell.
Now, Phillip, you and I have known each other a while, and one of the things I think maybe is obvious when people listen to a guy like you talk, they think, oh, banker, and he knows numbers and that kind of thing. But one of the things about you with your experience is you've seen a lot of situations, right? And you've seen a lot of different companies and what's made them successful, what hasn't worked out so well for them, and you bring that to the table as well.
Well, again, when you do it as long as we've both been doing it, we've seen a lot of ebbs and flows in our economy. We've seen recessions. We've seen national and international crises, whether it be 9/11, and a lot of things that have impacted businesses and how those businesses responded that either made them successful or got them in the ditch. And so my goal was to help, if you're in the ditch, help get you out of the ditch, but more importantly, help you from ever getting in the ditch to begin with. So it's been a great experience, and I've enjoyed every minute.
Well, let's talk about the subject at hand. I'll be glad when I'm not asking about COVID-19 anymore, and you'll be glad when you're not talking about it, right? But
exactly.
But what have you seen this year from the clients that you have worked with about COVID-19, how that's affected their business, and some of the lessons learned?
Well, and that's a great question. As we went into this pandemic, of course, no one knew how long it was going to last or what the ramifications were going to be. And boy, what a year. The thing that I probably learned more than anything early out, and you started your radio show with the PPP loan and talking about the importance of a banking relationship and having not only a good bank, but a good banker. And that's probably the number one lesson that I've learned from my clients. The sheer panic in their voices when they knew that those funds were running out very quickly, and they may have been with one of the large mega banks, and they had that 800 number. Mm-hmm. And they attempted multiple times to enter the websites only to have them crash. And having no one to turn to locally, no one other than an 800 number, and either being put on hold or we'll get back with you. It was an incredible time. And that was probably the light bulb that went off in my mind. And I'm not here to belittle the big banks. The big banks are great if you're Coca-Cola or Home Depot or one of the mega corporations in America.
Sure.
But if you're a small business owner, when I think of small, I think of someone 30 million or under in revenues. You should be dealing with a smaller bank. I'm sorry, or I hate to burst the bubble of some of the big boys out there, but those are the true people and banks that understand your business more so, and you get a live banker rather than an 800 number to call. You have in having that close relationship with your banker. So when you have a situation or that took place last spring, that you've at least got somebody locally that you can call on and depend on. And typically they're going to be your advocate within that particular bank. And in those cases, 100% of the time, my clients had excellent experiences in navigating the PPP loans and the EIDL loans that they had great success. Unfortunately, the people that were calling me at the time were with the larger banks, and it was a real difficult situation. It almost reminded me of Noah's Ark whenever the ark had been closed up and the rains were coming. When you try to jump out there and get a banker in the midst of a crisis, every banker in Atlanta or in the world really, or U.S., were totally flooded. They had no time to deal with a new client. And so if you were stuck with one of those big banks, good luck, because you had to struggle through it. Occasionally, as the demand slowed down, some of the smaller banks were able to take on those clients that weren't true bank customers because they had the horsepower and the bandwidth at that point in time to do it. So again, my biggest lesson, don't wait for a pandemic to arise. Go to your local chamber of commerce, meet your bankers that are in the room or that are calling on you looking for your business, and make those relationships and switch your banking. That's my number one advice.
Let's talk about the credit environment and what that looks like right now. I mean, we were talking a little bit about this before we came on about what it was pre-pandemic, right at the first of the year, and what it looks like right now.
Well, for those of us who suffered through 2008-9, the financial crisis, it was a very, very bleak and dark time for banks. Banks pulled credit lines from people. Everybody was suffering. What made the pandemic so unique is the banks went into this very, very financially strong. So it was a total different ballgame. As a result, banks, due to the CARES Act that was passed, were unbelievable for willing to forgive and to work with business owners. 100% of my clients, I went to each of their banks and said, listen, we need a reprieve. Can we, basically put off payments and just do interest only for up to 3 or 4 months? And in every case, 100% of the time, the banks agreed and said, yes, we will work with your client and we will do that. So it was a very great process. So what it allowed my clients to do was to really stockpile some cash, rather than making a payment, say, of $15,000 or $16,000. They only paid interest only at a smaller point, and they were able to hoard some of that cash, if you will. And that was the most important part. Other thing from the pandemic, as another life lesson, was you need at least 3 months worth of cash in reserve. So whatever your business does and whatever the cash flows may be going in and out, you should always have at least at a minimum 3 months worth of cash reserves. And those clients that had that or more fared much better, obviously, than those who did not. So cash is king, and cash will always be king. And it was definitely true during the pandemic. But going back to the banks, I digress for a moment. So the banks were very willing. Likewise, we had a couple of SBA products that were out there, and those were ever changing. I've never seen anything quite like that. The rules were changing. They didn't have applications. It was just a total nightmare for my banker friends that are out there trying to deal with this onslaught of clients. But it was a good time. And a lot of people, I've got a few customers who actually did better during 2020 than they did 2019. They have more cash reserves now as a result of PPP. Now, fast forward to the fall, as we went into September, October, and maybe you were a business owner and your line of credit came due. Boy, was there a difference from the spring. Now there's every bank out there has a COVID guideline. They want to know how you survived or how you navigated during COVID. And it's almost a litmus test that businesses are required to go through to look at the balance sheet and the income statement. How are your sales? Are they up or are they down? Are you making money or are you not? And as a result, many businesses are finding themselves getting trimmed back on their line of credit. Maybe they had a $500,000 line of credit. Well, come renewal this year, they may have been cut back to $250,000 as an example. So banks have gotten much tighter, and they're beginning to feel the angst or the risk of, are they going to get repaid on both their term loans as well as their lines of credit. So if you're up for renewal, if you're a business owner, beware. And the time it takes to get your renewal, I've had clients who are having to extend their accounts a couple of months because the banks are really taking a long, hard look at their business to determine if they're going to renew and how much are they going to renew. So beware and be ready and be patient.
What are some of the factors banks are looking at when it comes to the COVID-19 survivability or viability or whatever you call that? That's an interesting aspect that businesses are having to answer questions about.
It all goes back to cash. How much cash do you have on the books? How are you collecting your receivables? Are your clients paying you? Which is even more important now than it ever has been. How much have your sales been affected? Are they down 10%, 20%? Unfortunately, in the restaurant and hospitality business, as much as 50 or 75%. And the sustainability of your business. We are patient, or banks are patient to a degree, but I think there becomes a little bit of a nervousness with regards to how long can they continue with your business running at X percent less than what it was. And so what I think they're trying to determine is, okay, if you play this out another 6 months, can you survive? And if the answer is yes, I think they seem to be more willing. I have yet to see a bank totally just shut down and throw you out in the dark. But I will tell you that the patience or the temperament of banks is getting thinner and thinner, and it's beginning to look more like 2009, 2010 as far as really starting to pull back the credit appetite.
Folks, we're here chatting with Phillip Williams, and Phillip is the president of his own firm, P&P Business Solutions. Let's talk a little bit about the concept of a lifestyle business versus an enterprise business. You've got some thoughts on that.
Well, again, it's something that I have been observing for 35 years of working with business owners. And as business owners, we are hardwired for one thing. We don't want to pay taxes. There may be more than one thing, but that's one of the big ones that always comes up on April 15th for the national tax, typically deadline. In that case, we go to our CPAs and we tell them, we beat them up, when they come back and say, hey, listen, you got to write a check for X and whatever X may be. And that has always been something that, again, as American business owners, we have real problem with. And as a result, it's November, October of a good year. We won't use 2020. We'll use a better year than that. And, suddenly we're looking at our numbers and we're having a pretty good year. So we call up our CPA and say, hey, listen, this is too good. I need to buy I need to buy equipment, or I need to get rid of some of this excess profitability that I'm having here. Otherwise I got to pay taxes. So as a result, business owners tend to either make purchases at year end that they probably don't need to make, but they do it for one reason only, because they think they're avoiding paying taxes. They also, throughout the year, run a lot of their personal expenses through the business. That's why it's a lifestyle business, because it's supporting their lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So whatever it may be, maybe it's a spouse's car, maybe it's the kids are collecting a salary even though they don't really work there. But it's all a means of using your business as a piggy bank, and so that's you spend all your money out of your business, which is great unless you ever need to get a loan, or at one point in time you get our age, Johnny, you start looking down the road and think maybe it's time to sell our business. How much is it worth? Mm. And so there becomes the real issue of where years and years of running your business as a lifestyle will be a very negative impact for the valuation that your business may bring to the market. Because let's face it, nobody wants to buy a business that shows 10 years of losses or minimal profitability and basically a balance sheet that's not very balanced. It's pretty much insolvent. So that's why as business owners, we need to think more like Coca-Cola, more like Home Depot. Think of as a publicly traded company. So it's November and December over at Home Depot. They're not sitting around the table thinking, what do we need to spend money on because we don't need to show a profit this year? I mean, they brag. In fact, if they don't hit their earnings mark, sometimes the market punishes them from a public standpoint. So run your company like a publicly traded company to a certain degree. It's okay to pay a little bit of taxes, because if you're paying taxes, you're making money.
Well, and if you want to sell your business, I mean, if you see your business as the proceeds from the sale of your business as your retirement fund, then that business has got to be able to operate and be valued without you in it.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's
exactly.
part of the deal too, right?
It's what we call telling someone. So when we go into a business, when I go in and talk to you, if you're thinking about selling, and hopefully you're talking about selling 4 to 5 years down the road, not next year, not next summer, because that's typically not enough time to turn the cruise line around. Because you think of your business as this huge boat, not a little speedboat. And if you need to make those type changes, it takes time in order to reorder your business to improve it. So the first thing that we do is go in and look and see what the value of your business is. And then what type of lifestyle are you trying to achieve at retirement? If those two align, it's magic. But more often than not, you fall way short because, again, based on the fact that you ran your business as a lifestyle business, the value is just not there, and you're not going to be able to make it on what you sell your business for. And so then it's almost the old HGTV, love it or list it. So now it's time to go in and basically fix up your business to try to build that value to the level of where you need to be in order to go to market and then sell and then live happily ever after, whatever it is you may decide to do in retired life.
So, Phillip, what is it that I need to, what characteristics of my business do I need to be looking for to know whether I need to pick up the phone and give you a call and hire you to help me?
Basically, how long a runway you have. When do you plan to sell? If you plan to sell in the next 5 years, give me a call because I can start helping you work on that plan now. Good exit planning is good business strategy. The bottom line, the things that we will talk about are things that really every business owner should be doing, whether they're selling 5 years from now or 50 years from now. It's doing all the right things. It's making sure you don't have your eggs in one basket, that you don't just have one client, that you are not the entire sales force, that you have other people that you can rely on, that if you're not there, the old scenario of the beer truck, John, will your business survive if you get hit by the beer truck? And if the answer is no, or if you can't take a vacation for 2 weeks because you're too important to your business, then you're probably not really a good candidate to sell your business, because it's 100% reliant upon you, or a large percentage. So the goal is to improve those processes, to improve and then lastly is your financials. How many times I've looked at a balance sheet that doesn't balance, and that's kind of that's an old accounting joke right there, but it's true. Assets don't equal assets or liabilities plus equity. It doesn't balance. So cleaning up your accounting and making sure that you are GAAP ready, that general accepted accounting principles, that you're practicing revenue recognition correctly, you're collecting your accounts receivable, you don't have too much inventory. The list goes on and on and on. So as you can see, it's a long process, and it takes a village to sell your business. It's not relying upon one person, but it takes a conglomeration of your accountant, a good attorney. You need to have a good a wealth advisor. Myself, I'm a CEPA, which is a certified exit planner, and I sort of serve as a quarterback to help balance all these people for the one purpose, and that's to maximize the value of your business, so it will help you go to that great retirement place and enjoy life.
I would love it if you would share, you don't have to use names, obviously, but maybe a success story that you're particularly proud of, someone that you've worked with that your intervention in their situation was crucial to their success. Wow.
There's several. One success story that's going to happen this Friday, knock on wood. I've been working with a client for nearly 3 years, and we actually went to market during the pandemic, and he had up to 9 interested parties looking to buy this particular business.
Wow.
We had done everything up until the time we went to market to ensure his financial statements are review quality now. They weren't before. So just really improving a lot of the processes in their particular business. This was a very successful business to begin with, but I like to say that we made it a little bit more successful. So I partner. I'm not a broker, so I partner with a local business broker, and I was amazed that during a pandemic, the number of interested parties that we had that came from all over the United States for this particular company located right here in Atlanta. But that was probably hopefully, I don't want to jinx it, but my success story for 2020.
That's awesome. Great work. Are there particular industries or verticals that you particularly specialize in, or?
No, I was a generalist banker throughout my career. I never had a particular specialty. I was called a C&I lender, which is commercial and industrial. And that's basically operating companies. I didn't really do a lot of transactional real estate type lending. Mine was all people who produced something or who provided a service. And so as a result, my base was fairly broad. Another success story, I had a nonprofit, a church, that we were able to renegotiate. And it was a problem loan many, many years ago, but we were able to help them improve their cash flow significantly. And when I say significantly, I'm talking probably $8,000 per month better cash flow as a result of getting them out of a tough loan situation and into a traditional lender, which gave them a much more appealing principal and interest payment on their particular real estate. So, I mean, really, I deal with all types of companies. Typically, again, it's 3 to 30 million in revenue size. So, again, your average, what I call mom and pop family run business.
Now, Phillip, the last time you were with us, Billy Bob Thornton showed up.
Reckon I've heard of him.
From Sling Blade. And,
yes,
and you've got a talent for impressions. So do you want to share any of that with us?
Well, I reckon I ought not do that right now. People make sport of me when you do that. No, it was a fun time. I used to do some comedy years and years and years ago in a former life. And back in the old days of stand up, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it and still like to keep it a little bit lighthearted. You think of as a serious banker, but it's still okay to laugh every once in a while.
Oh, particularly in the year we've had, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you've got to find a way to laugh to relieve the tension and the dreariness of it all, right?
Snapchat, I hate to say this and it sounds very immature, but Snapchat got me through the COVID because Snapchat, every day there's a different characters that come on there and so I would send it to my family members or occasional client of a particular character that comes up. But that's kind of one of my secrets that at least kept my sanity through a lot of time of being shut down and just in my office with not many people to talk to other than Zoom.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've passed that on, and I know you have passed that on to your clients. That good humor and lightheartedness that helps keep them sane too. So that's another value you offer, I think, right?
Well, thank you. I don't know if it's a value or not. Sometimes it could be a liability. I'm not sure if it's always an asset, but life is too short not to have fun. For sure.
Phillip Williams has been with us, folks, with P&P Business Solutions. Phillip, always good to see you. Great to have you back on the show.
John, it's a pleasure, and thank you so much for the invitation. Anytime, I'm always available. And if any folks need to reach me, my website, it's www.ppbusinesssolutions.com. Check us out. If I can help you, give me a call.
Awesome. Phillip Williams, folks, P&P Business Solutions. Phillip, thanks so much again for being with us.
John, thank you.
Folks, just another quick reminder. I mentioned Office Angels at the top of the show. Here's the deal. If Phillip's on you to get your book straight, or if you've got an administrative task, maybe some graphic design, you've got some other stuff you're spending time on that you really need to outsource to somebody that really knows what they're doing, then give Essie Escobedo over at Office Angels a call. Now, Essie is the chief executive angel over there, and her phone number is 770-442-9246. If you're shy, go to the website, officeangels.us, but just call her because what she'll do is take some of this stuff off your plate by giving it to a angel on her team that flies in, get the job, and they get the job done, and they fly out. And they've been doing this virtually for 20 years, so they know the environment we're in, and they do an awesome job. And as I mentioned, I use their services, so I know of what I speak. They're terrific, and you'll be glad you gave her a call. So Essie Escobedo, Office Angels, 770-442-9246. And folks, we are on all the major platforms with North Fulton Business Radio, podcast platforms. North Fulton Business Radio is the search term. I would love it on behalf of our guest. It's not about me. It's not about Business RadioX. It's about our guest. If you would go to your favorite podcast platform, subscribe, and while you're there, give us a great review because it helps folks find the show and find business leaders like Phillip who would be able to help them in their time of business need. So we've had almost 600 guests on this show over the last 4.5, coming up on 5 years in 2021. And this is show, I think, number 315 or something like that. But we've had a lot of guests, and we want to promote them and the good work they do. So if you could do that for us, that would be great. And also connect with us on social media, North Fulton BRX on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So for my guest, Phillip Williams, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.